Hello and welcome to your authoritative current affairs maritime program, Eye on Port. This program is proudly brought to you by Serene Insurance, Gold Company Limited, Ghana Link, Ghana Revenue Authority, Meridian Port Services, and Phoenix Insurance. Our proud media partner is the Business and Financial Times. This program is also powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Now, this week, we had in the studio some students from the Regional Maritime University who have been coming up with some innovations in the maritime industry. We discussed how we can achieve a sustainable development through the support of these innovations. Let's take a listen.
So I'll begin with you, Mr. Sabla, and find out from you as a student of the Regional Maritime University what your assessment of maritime education in Ghana is, first of all.
Maritime itself has to do with anything relating to the sea. Looking at maritime education in Ghana, it has certain factors which contribute to that effect. The first I would like to talk about is the quality of education given in terms of maritime education.
Right.
Looking at the quality of education, Regional Maritime itself happens to be the only institution in the country. And the best in West Africa that deals with maritime education.
Absolutely.
Look at the courses offered. There we have nautical science as a course, marine engineering. Recently, they've introduced naval architecture. We have port and shipping administration, logistics and supply chain. Those are some of the courses that is being taught in the Regional Maritime University. Now, we have state-of-the-art bridge simulation that mimics the bridge of a vessel at sea,
right?
Which is the Regional Maritime. It aids in studies of the nautical science students, which intends to go to sea. Then there is a lab that is being designed.
Can you draw your mic close to you a bit, Mr. Sabla? Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there is an engine lab that is being designed in the form of the engine room, which aids with the marine engineers in how they study and then mimic whatever happens on board the ship.
Right.
We have facilities also like deep sea welding that is state of the art in the Regional Maritime University. We have other also facilities that aid in delivering quality education in school. The second has to do with infrastructure. Looking at the infrastructure in maritime, it is fairly good. That is what I will have to say. I mean, there is room for improvement.
Right.
We need more infrastructure to aid. Looking at it being the only institution in the country that deals with maritime education. The third has to do with industry relevance. That has to do with practical training and then internship.
Yeah.
GPHA has been very supportive when it comes to internship for Regional Maritime students. I mean, they get to experience firsthand practicals as in what they've been taught in school.
Right.
And so that is also a contributing factor to the maritime education in the country. The last one has to do with research and innovation. I mean, we need more research, like what you spoke about earlier on, the project work or research that we've been able to conduct. It also has to do with the maritime education.
Right. How long did it take you to come up with these innovations?
Okay, so myself, I started this for the past, I think, 4 years now. We have been doing this, but this very year we started to come out with it and then showcase to the world what we are also capable of doing. So for this very one, it has been, I think, a year, especially the catamaran and also the mono horse. Yes, we always hear of accident happening on the Volta Lake.
Right.
So it strikes us that as naval architect, what can I do to solve such problems? Yes, because it has been always we hear of such accidents on the lake.
Right.
So it strikes me to come out with this innovation to solve the problem, so that with loss of life and then properties will also be reserved. So that's how come we came out with all these innovations, especially for the catamaran boat and the monohull to solve the accident on the Volta Lake.
All right. Great. Let me come to Alex. And if you would want to walk us through some of these innovations, I mentioned them, the 10 of them. If you want to walk us through some of them and tell us what they're actually about.
The very first one I will talk about is the very project I formed part in working on. That is the Dovetail Life Buoy. It is an innovation that was cultivated from an accident that has occurred at sea.
Okay.
So at sea, you realize that people go man overboard. Or let me say a sailor goes man overboard. That's how we normally call it. I mean, a sailor falls from the deck, and then
yeah, sure.
yes, and he's in the sea. So when he's in the sea, what we traditionally or conventionally do is there's a ring live buoy, which is made of plastic, some of them fiber, and then a rope tied to it and thrown overboard to the individual in the sea.
Okay.
But
To hold and climb.
exactly,
They can
you hold on it, and then you maintain up there for a while before rescue comes.
Okay, I think there was that video on the screen.
Yes, exactly.
Then that was it.
Exactly.
That's it, okay.
So yes, that's my project here.
Okay.
So we get to a situation where we have to move to the person in distress quickly. That is how come we came up with a module where you can be able to propel the life buoy to the individual who is in distress. Then the individual gets rescued. You get me? So this we are talking about, I would want to touch on something small, which is innovative works by students in universities.
Okay.
I would want us to focus on using the brains of these students to move forward. Why am I saying this? When I was looking at the accident that occurs at sea and all that, I came up Dolphin 1 by students of a university in Toronto, Canada.
Okay.
Students came up with it, and then it has been taken and upscaled, and is now on the market. So if we students of Regional Maritime University have come up with such innovations, I believe it can be upscaled and taken up to the market as well. The one particular course which is being taught in Regional Maritime University is renewable energy. Okay, so the world is moving towards decarbonization, zero carbon emission. How are we as a country embracing that? How are we as a people embracing that? That is how students have been able to come up with such an idea to build a wind turbine to harness that energy and then move towards the world's trend. So I'll move to the ROV.
Right. Yes.
We are exploring our waters. We are using Volta Lake transport.
What is ROV in the first place?
Okay, ROV is remote operated vessel.
Okay.
Yes, it's normally found offshore. Normally the FPSOs use them for installations underwater and all that. Yes.
All right, sure.
So this ROV is going to meet the demand on the market. The demand on the market currently, which is, let me say, we have FPSO JQ4, FPSO, and the likes.
Yes.
If we can locally produce these ROVs from here, instead of importing them from outside the countries, we are actually engaging our local content.
Yeah.
And we are building a good base for our students. That's what I can talk about now. So,
Okay. There have been reported accidents on the Volta Lake. Sometimes it pops up, it comes up, and it's been a recurring thing. Once in a while it happens and all that. I want to find out what your take is with respect to these accidents that occur there and what we can do, something like a mitigating factor to ensure that we stop the trend.
Okay, Alex Abayate happens to mention one contributing factor to accidents in the water lake that has to do with debris in the water. Because that is being dealt with gradually by
I know at
GMA.
some point the Ghana Maritime Authority was involved in removing tree stumps from there and that kind of thing.
That is also a contributing factor to the cause of accidents in the water lake. The other contributing factor has to do with lack of proper training and certification of boat operators. These boat operators lack proper training. In the maritime industry, there is absolutely zero tolerance for error. Because the least error you do, the accident and the impact is very huge. And so there is zero tolerance for error. And so with this, boat operator needs to have training, proper training and certification to be able to move the boat.
Right.
The second one has to do with overloading of the boat. Okay. There was an accident reported where I think 8 pupils lost their life.
Yeah, sure.
And then that was as a result of overloading of the
Is it the one we told the kid was the one in charge of the boat or something? Okay.
Yes.
Sure.
You realize that a boat which is designed for to transport 15 individuals will have to take about 50, 60.
Yeah.
And that education needs to be done by the regulating body, that is GMA. So that is also a contributing factor.
Right.
The other one has to do with the poor maintenance of the vessel. There's something in the maritime space we call seaworthiness. Should a vessel be deemed as seaworthy, that means that vessel is supposed that vessel can be safely navigated from one port to another port
right.
without causing damage to the vessel causing damage to the cargo, causing damage to the individual and the environment.
Right.
Most of these boats lack maintenances. And so the GME as a regulatory body should be able to look at that aspect to keep the vessels maintained.
Let me come to George and find out from you how, what actually inspired these innovations and how difficult was it, putting them together?
So what inspired the various project work was industrial challenge. Saying we have all these projects were towards, resolving problems within our industry.
Yes.
So for instance, the water leak, we have challenges there. I'll categorize the problems there into three. That is the safety, the operational, and also the design aspects of the problems there. So the design aspect is what we have tackled, and also the safety aspect of what is happening there. The design aspect is, if I want to go into the integrity of this current canoes that we have there, as time goes by, if we still use that one, we are going to lose a lot of lives there, because the design is not, the stability of that boat there are not really, how do I even put it? They don't match standards, because initially the whole concept of designing or the shipping industry started from artwork, where people start to come out with trees and then they will dig inside and then it will, but as times went by, things have changed. So we actually have to change the way we do our things on the water lake. We have been using wood for quite a number of, years now. Yeah. And then this wood, initially they were getting a thicker diameter to do the carving and all that. But now they don't have the thickness of that very wood. So what they do is they do planking. So anytime this wood hits something, it breaks into two and then lives are lost. Yes. So we really need to look at it by going for another material, that is fiber, because considering the nature, we can't go in for steel or aluminum. So it means that we have to gear towards using fiber. So we saw the need for us coming out with a new ideas by resolving that. And because of the stability issue of our boat, we need to come out with a hull that can really solve that problem. The last time I heard the government went to South Africa to order some boats. This is not the first. We have built a real-time boat in this country. Yes, we have the capacities to do that. I know
some other companies also into fiber boats. Recently, they showcased it. I saw it.
Yeah, so we've done that. We've done that as well. The RMU in collaboration. When you even go, you see the RMU in collaboration with Ghana Navy. We trained some officers and we actually built a boat in Ghana here. So we are capable of doing all that here. Yeah, it's not something that we can't do. Yeah, so we are asking the general public to come to our aid, and then we can come out with innovative ideas and then projects to solve the problems.
Well, we just spoke about the issue of finance and how you've not been able to draw the necessary sponsorship from organizations that you could easily get that from. Is it that they don't believe in the durability or authenticity of your innovations, or what do you think is a challenge?
Such innovative works are novel, and for someone to just believe in you to sponsor with huge amount of money, it will take a lot of convincing, and also government policy.
So those were some interesting innovations. Kudos to them for the hard work they put into some of these innovations. We have your comments next. Joseph Mante says, good evening. I wish to congratulate the RMU team out there for bringing to light the brilliant innovations that are taking place at the university. More grace to their elbows. Hello, I'm Benji from Tema. What Joseph Sabla is saying is very true. The government should build more infrastructure at the Regional Maritime University so that more students can join to help build Ghana. Iron Port returns after this break.
Every now and again, Goil makes good things happen. This time, Goil has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Goal Super XP Run 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Goal Super XP Run 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Goal Super XP Run 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with Goal Super XP Run 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goil has that sorted. Goil, good energy.
Electricity, pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse, and my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance Motor Policy. Currently, my goods are on the high seas, covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance.
Oh, Ajima,
tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating great opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302 246 319 or 0243 690 492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
Welcome back from the break. Now, news and activities happening within the port and maritime industry next. As part of efforts to accelerate economic growth and drive foreign exchange, the Ghana Shippers Authority has held a forum to abreast importers and exporters on some of the country's trade agreements and how they can position themselves to take advantage of it. The forum, which was under the theme, Facilitating Shipment under Ghana's Preferential Trade Agreements, saw various importers and exporters from different sectors participate.
As Ghana Shippers Authority, which is mandated to promote and protect the interests of shippers, we thought that it's appropriate to create a forum, bring them all together, walk them through the available preferential treatments that are in the various agreements.
An officer with the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Abdul Aziz Sake, educated the shippers on the effective use of digital platforms to assist in trade facilitation and the avenues to lodge complaints and to receive real-time feedback.
Why rules of origin is paramount to us. We have to make sure that before we qualify you to enjoy the preference, you must meet all the criteria, all the rules that are spelled out in a specific FTA that you are applying for.
An officer with the Ministry of Trade and Industry, Stephen Opoku, shared some important nuggets on some of Ghana's trade agreements.
Everybody is talking AFCFTA, but there are fundamental questions nobody is asking. Now we have EPA, we have UKTPA, we have AGOA. Now we've come to AFCFTA. Somebody will ask question, what's the difference? They are all FTAs, but there's big difference. But it is also not to suggest that one is important than the other, because the market dynamics will show.
Bilateral relations between Ghana and China have been enhanced with the visit of the 43rd Chinese Naval Escort Task Group to Ghana. The Escort Task Group, with their naval warships, were received at the port of Tema last Tuesday as part of diplomatic missions in Africa. Before calling Ghana, the Escort Task Group has been on mission since January 10th this year. With the visit to Ghana, both parties hope to strengthen political trust, cultural ties, and military cooperation between the two countries. Chinese ambassador to Ghana, Lu Kon, said the port call aimed at deepening understanding and would further consolidate the Ghana-China friendship and expand cooperation.
China-Ghana relations are developing strongly. Political trust between our two countries is enhancing, and the military cooperation is making considerable progress.
Deputy Minister of Defense Kofi Amankwa-Menu said the visit was appropriate and timely as the government of Ghana is strategically deepening its relationship with its valued partners.
Enhancing existing partnership between China and Ghana under a broader defense cooperation is important in the face of the deteriorating security conditions within West African sub-region. Enhanced security cooperation in the maritime domain will also help address some of the maritime security threats.
The United Nations Economic and Social Council, ECOSOC, has formally granted special consultative status to the Center for International Maritime Affairs Ghana, CIMAG. The granting of the consultative status to CIMAG followed ECOSOC's adoption of the recommendation of the Committee on Non-Governmental Organizations at its Coordination and Management meeting of June 2023. CIMAG status now entitles it to designate official representatives to the United Nations headquarters in New York and the United Nations offices in Geneva and Vienna. Speaking in an interview with Iron Port, the executive director of CIMAG, Albert Derek Fiatui, said the granting of the special consultative status will allow CIMAG to register for and participate in events, conferences and activities of the United Nations.
When you are an NGO like CIMAG and you are granted this status, it puts you at that place where you have access to the United Nations workings itself and also the various organs of the United Nations.
He said CIMAG will continue to work assiduously with other agencies in promoting the ocean's role in sustainable development and protecting the marine environment.
The work we've been doing with the agency so far has been credible. The major work that we are interested in is in the promotion of the maritime sector, the blue economy, the oceans, and also the environment most especially. And so when we had meetings with the United Nations Environment Program, for instance, we made it clear to them that we are, one of our core areas is marine and coastal biodiversity protection.
The director of Port of Tema, Sandro Opoku, and the mayor of Tema, Yohani Amashite, have joined Meridian Port Services tree planting exercise around the port area. MPS is garnering support from stakeholders in the port industry to plant 1,001 trees as part of the Green Ghana project. The trees are being planted around the MPS Terminal 3 area as well as the Titanic Beach. Led by the Chief Executive Officer of MPS, Mohamed Samara, Both the director of Port of Tema and the Tema mayor planted some trees together with staff of MPS. The mayor of Tema, Yohane Ama Ashite, said the Tema Metropolitan Assembly intends to plant 500,000 trees in the port city of Tema, adding that the initiative taken by MPS is in the right direction.
Once we have more trees coming, what it means is that at least we have a forest cover, and we all know the effects that the industries and burning of fossil fuels have on the climate change. And once you have more trees being planted, then the carbon dioxide that is being produced into the atmosphere is taken by the trees, giving us oxygen.
The director of Port of Tema, Sandro Poku, stressed the need for new coconut trees to be planted along the beaches to restore the green nature of the area.
We all know that when the last tree dies, the last human being also dies. And we were just discussing when we were growing up, this whole place was green with coconut trees, and because of the environmental issues here, all of them have died, and some of them have been cut off. So this is a new initiative, and I commend MPS.
The CEO of MPS, Mohamed Samara, thanked stakeholders in the port and shipping industry for their collaborative efforts in ensuring that the target of planting the 1,001 trees is achieved.
We have some ship owners and agents, among us. We have the Ghana Ports and Harbour Authority. We have some freight forwarders. We have some importers, exporters, and all of us led by our project team and our contractors, Desimoni. What we're doing is we're taking the initiative of His Excellency the President to declare the Ghana Green Week and Green Day.
It's now time for some international port and maritime news.
The European Union has put forward an ambitious proposal to achieve net zero emissions in the shipping sector by 2050. On June 21, 2023, the EU delegation to the UN, together with Denmark, Palau, and Samoa, and with the participation of Special Advisor to the UN Secretary General and ASG of Climate Action, Selwyn Hart, hosted a meeting in New York on climate and shipping, outlining the EU's proposals for new climate targets for the shipping sector. The delegation believes that the international shipping sector is moving in the wrong direction when it comes to greenhouse gas emissions, which continue to rise, both in absolute and in relative terms, and are close to reaching 3% of all man-generated greenhouse gas emissions.
Up next is the word of the day. Grounding refers to contact by a ship with the ground while the ship is moored or anchored as a result of the water level dropping, or when approaching the coast as a result of a navigational error. Alright, so schedules of vessels in the port, those at anchorage and those expected in the coming week, plus the Bank of Ghana exchange rate you need to know to clear your goods from the port next. This is where we draw the curtain on this week's episode of Iron Port. Thank you for watching, and thanks to the entire crew. Join us same time next week.